Hello, I'm Paul, and this is Ask Me, a program where you can ask any question and I'll do my best to answer it. Let's see. Michael in Cold Springs, New York. Brr! Are the day to day, hour to hour differences we hear in our systems real or psychological? If real, why can't these differences be identified objectively and agreed upon by all? If they're not real, why do we drive ourselves crazy and spend insane amounts of money searching for the Holy Grail? Well, that's a fairly concise question, Michael. Are they real? Yes, unequivocally real, depending on what changes we are talking about. Not all of them can be repeated. So let's narrow it down just a little bit. I know in my own experience, if I have, let's say, two loudspeakers, I can tell the difference between those two loudspeakers in a heartbeat, in an instant. Let's say this one pair of speakers really does this, that, and the other thing really good. Let's say it has great top end. It has wonderful mid-range, but it's lacking in bass. It will always have that, and we can measure that. And that is something that we can define, and we can use objective means to measure that. A good example is an electrostat. I've had electrostats for years, Martin Logan's, Acoustats. They are always intriguing. Why? Because electrostats, these big pieces of plastic that move with electrostatic action, they don't move very far, and that's why you need a big panel. But they have a clarity, a mid-range clarity, that if you hold your head in a vise and don't move, and they're set up just properly, man, you can hear into music and recordings unlike any other loudspeaker that I'm familiar with. Move your head too far in either direction, you'll lose all that, and they don't have bass. Okay, but what they do really well. Now, that again, there's reasons for it, and we can hear that on a repeatable basis. Take the IRS, my system in Music Room 1. There's a system that can play pretty much any music at any level and never break a sweat. That system, because it's got, 120 drivers in it, it never strains, it never ceases to be effortless. So yes, we can do that. But perhaps what you're referring to is things like cables, things like, electronics that measure the same. So when we look at an objective study of something like cables, we are told by one faction there's no difference, that the difference is maybe in the megahertz region or in the ultrasonic 100 kilohertz region, but down here in the audio region, they are identical in terms of phase response, in terms of frequency response. It's just BS that you hear a difference in that. And yet, I can go into a revealing system like we have here and routinely be able to tell that somebody has messed with my cables, because I know I've memorized the sound of that system. I know what to expect. And when I play it and I go, what is going on? And I run to the back of the stereo stack in the reference room, and I see that one of the engineers, because they were trying something out, had replaced my cables with another set for whatever reason, and they forgot and they left it out. Now I get all huffy and pull them out and I put them back in, but I can hear that, and I hear that whether I know or I don't know. So that is repeatable. But why can't we measure that? My friend Galen, who is a brilliant engineer at Belden Cables, and he makes some just excellent cables. He has shown in a number of papers why we hear differences in cables that completely refute all the, what we want to call flat earth people. Did you know that there is actually a flat earth society that actually believes the earth is flat and that it's all a plot and that we are constantly rising up and that's gravity? Holy, anyway, don't get me going. And if you're one of them, sorry about that. But it's true. Look it up. Google it. Flat Earth Society. Half of them are like tongue in cheek, and the other half are serious. Oh well. Anyway, these folks find it hard to believe because they can't see how it works. And I, believe me, as an engineer, I understand. It drives me crazy. People tell me they can hear differences in Ethernet cables, and yet that makes no sense to me whatsoever. So there's two ways to deal with that. You can be like me and go, nope, I don't buy it. I ain't trying it. Now, everybody I know that I respect has given me good arguments and reasons to try it. And I just have been a stubborn old curmudgeon and said no. But in general, if somebody tells me that, I give it a try and see if it's something repeatable. So I guess the long and short answer of this is yes, depending on what it is we're talking about, you can hear these things. They are real and they are repeatable. And just because we can't quantify the reasons for it doesn't mean they don't exist. Okay? Just because when you look out your window, the earth looks flat doesn't mean that it is. So just because we don't know something doesn't mean that it doesn't happen or doesn't exist. Best I got. Great question, and thank you for asking. Bye-bye.